Why do some people enter a room and instantly command attention while others speak and are still ignored? Why is it that someone can say nothing at all, yet still be respected more than the loudest voice in the room? If you've ever felt invisible, overlooked, or dismissed, no matter how hard you try to speak up, you're not alone. You try to be nice, you try to be helpful, you try to be noticed. But all of it feels like shouting into the wind. Deep down, it makes you question yourself. Am I not good enough? Do I have to fake confidence just to be taken seriously? But what if the truth is far more empowering than you think? What if respect has nothing to do with how loud you are and everything to do with how silent you can be? The world doesn't respect noise. It respects presence. The kind of presence that doesn't need to beg for attention, the kind that doesn't chase approval. Because in a world full of people trying to prove something, the one who says nothing becomes the one everyone watches. There's a silent war happening every day, at work, in relationships, and social groups. And the people who win that war aren't the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who understand power. The ones who know how to move without announcing it, who know how to be seen without needing to be heard. This isn't about arrogance. It's about control, and control always wins. You've been told to speak up, to share your feelings, to be open. But every time you do, you feel weaker. That's because the world doesn't reward openness. It rewards strength, and strength is quiet. Respect is psychological. It begins in the space before words are spoken, before action is even taken. People make judgments in seconds. Your tone, your energy, your stillness, these things tell them who you are. And if you walk like someone who needs nothing, they treat you like someone they don't want to lose. You don't need to shout to be respected. You need to stand still. You need to carry silence like a sword, and that changes everything. If you've ever been tired of being underestimated, if you're done explaining yourself to people who don't deserve your words, if you want to feel powerful without having to fake a thing, then keep listening, because there are 4 silent laws that can change how people see you forever. These are not tricks, they are transformations. They don't just shift how others react to you, they reshape how you see yourself. By the time this is over, you'll understand how to walk into any room and be taken seriously, without saying a word. And once you feel that kind of power, you'll never chase approval again. You'll never ask for permission again. You'll never explain yourself again. Because the most powerful people don't talk their way into respect. They walk into it, quiet, unshaken, untouchable. Power begins where certainty ends. When people can't figure you out, they hesitate. They second-guess themselves. They watch you more closely. Because mystery is a mirror, it forces them to project, and what they project is often greater than anything you could have explained. You've been taught that being understood is the goal. But when everyone understands you, they stop respecting you. You become predictable, accessible, easy to define. And anything easy to define is easy to control. The real strength lies in being unreadable. Because when no one can label you, they can't put you in a box. They can't lower your value. They don't know what you're thinking, what you want, or what you'll do next. That's when they begin to respect you. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't. Mystery makes people careful. When you stop explaining, people start wondering, and the mind always exaggerates what it can't see. That's why the less you say, the more weight your presence carries. Oh, silence sharpens perception. Every glance, every movement, every pause becomes more powerful. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are. You need to become someone who doesn't need to be figured out. Confidence isn't loud, it's controlled. It's the man who doesn't feel the need to fill the silence. It's the woman who knows her value without proving it. Most people try to be liked. They want to be accepted. So they overshare. They try to relate. But every time you do that, you give away a piece of your power, because when people know everything about you, they stop being curious. And when curiosity dies, so does their respect. The world doesn't give value, it reacts to it. You have to train yourself to be at peace with not being fully seen. That discomfort you feel when people don't know what you're thinking, that's your power growing. That tension you sense when you withhold your thoughts, that's control sharpening. The goal isn't to be distant. The goal is to be disciplined, to know when to speak and when silence is stronger, to understand that not every emotion needs a response, not every question needs an answer, and not every moment requires your voice. When you stay silent, people lean in. They listen harder. and they listen harder. They respect the space you create. You don't need to be mysterious in a fake or dramatic way. This is not about playing games. It's about restraint. You don't owe the world your transparency. You owe yourself your power. Start with small moments. Say less. Watch more. Let people sit in uncertainty. Let them wonder what drives you, what you believe, what you want. Because the ones who can't be read can't be controlled, and the moment they realize they can't predict you, they'll begin to respect you. Not because of what you showed them, but because of what you chose not to. People chase what they can't have. That's the law of human nature. The more you give your attention freely, the less it's valued. The more you offer your energy without demand, the faster it's taken for granted. Respect is not lost in one moment. It fades with every inch you give away trying to be accepted. Every time you answer too quickly, show too much interest, or make yourself too available, you train the world to see you as common. And the world does not respect what it sees as common. You want to be respected? Make your attention, rare overvulse. Make your presence a privilege, not a guarantee. Because the more you hold back, the more they lean forward. You don't need to be cold. You need to be in control. You need to resist the reflex to always respond, always agree, always show up when it's not earned. People respect what they have to work for. They value what they cannot predict. That includes your attention, your presence, and your time. When someone knows they can have your focus at any moment, it stops being valuable. It becomes background noise. But when they're never quite sure what you're thinking when you'll respond or how you truly feel, that uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates respect. You must be willing to be slightly out of reach, not because you're arrogant, but because you understand your value. Most people act like everyone deserves their energy. They jump at every text. They laugh at every joke. They stay long after they've been disrespected, just to be liked. But that desperation speaks louder than any words. It says, I need you to approve of. And nothing destroys respect faster than the smell of need. When you need nothing, you control everything. When you withhold, not out of fear but out of discipline, people feel your strength. They feel that you're not trying to impress them. You're not chasing them. You're not afraid to walk away. That is what creates presence. You must unlearn the addiction to constant connection. Silence is not rejection. Absence is not weakness. Distance is not disrespect. They are all tools of power when used with purpose. Let people miss you. Let them wonder what you're doing. Let them sit with your silence. That space teaches them your worth. You are not here to be available to everyone at all times. You are not here to prove your loyalty by sacrificing your peace. You are here to build value through boundaries, through control, through selective attention. The more intentional you are with your presence, the more powerful that presence becomes. Stop chasing. Let them chase. Stop proving. Let them observe. You are not their entertainment. You are not their emotional sponge. You are a force, and forces don't beg to be noticed. They draw the world in by existing on their own terms. Speak less, give less, and watch how they start treating you like more. There is a kind of power that doesn't need to speak, doesn't need to move, doesn't even need to react. It's the power of composure, pure, silent control, while everyone else scrambles to be heard, to be right, to be validated. The one who remains calm becomes the center of gravity. Because when chaos erupts and you stay still, people look to you. They sense something unshakable. And in a world of emotional outbursts and impulsive reactions, being unshaken is a rare and feared strength. That calm doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you've mastered yourself. It means the outside world doesn't dictate your inner state, and nothing earns more respect than the ability to stay clear while others lose themselves. Weakness shows its face in panic, in shouting, in desperate need to control what cannot be controlled. But when you stay composed, you reveal something deeper, dominance over your own emotions. Emotional control is a form of power most people never develop. They let situations pull them, people provoke them, and stress unravel them. And because of that, they stay weak. But you are not like them. You are here because you refuse to be ruled by emotion. You're here to become untouchable, not cold, not distant, but deliberate. When someone tries to break your peace and fails, they feel it. They feel your strength not in your resistance, but in your indifference. There will be moments where you are tested. Someone will try to humiliate you. Someone will try to push your buttons. Someone will try to shake your confidence just to see how much power you really have. And if you react emotionally, you give them everything they want. But if you remain calm, if you show no weakness, they start to question themselves. That silence becomes pressure. Your stillness becomes a mirror they can't escape. They see their own instability reflected in your discipline. And that is how you win, without raising your voice, without making a scene, without saying a single word. Composure is not passive, it's aggressive restraint. It's the power to hold back what you could unleash. Anyone can react, anyone can yell, but it takes real strength to observe, to wait, to respond with clarity when the time is right. That strength builds respect faster than any speech, faster than any title, faster than any appearance. It says, I am not controlled by you. I am not moved by you. I decide who I become in this moment. And that message leaves a lasting impression long after you've walked away. Don't waste energy on people trying to pull you down into emotional chaos. Don't fight battles that silence can win for you. Your stillness is not a void, it is pressure, it is power. It is the mark of someone who doesn't just want to be respected, they expect it because they've earned it within. Stay calm, stay quiet, let the storm pass. You'll be the only one still standing. Respect and approval are not the same. One gives you strength, the other makes you a slave. You've been trained to believe that being liked means you're doing something right, that the more agreeable, kind, and open you are, the more value you have. But that belief is a trap. It turns you into someone who performs for others, someone who measures their worth by reactions, someone who trades power for permission. And the more you try to please, the more invisible you become. Because people don't respect those who seek their validation. They use them, they expect them, and then they forget them. Approval is a leash, respect is freedom, and you will never earn both from the same people. The desire to be liked is ancient, it's wired into your mind. Rejection used to mean death. So now, in every room, in every relationship that fear creeps in, you want to belong, you want to be accepted, so you lower your standards. You laugh when you don't want to. You agree when you should object. You stay when you should walk away. And every time you do that, you lose a piece of yourself. Until one day you wake up and realize you've built a life around other people's expectations. A life that looks fine on the outside, but feels hollow inside. Because you weren't chasing purpose. You were chasing applause. But here's the truth they never taught you. The moment you stop needing approval is the moment people start noticing you. When you move with conviction, without looking over your shoulder for permission, the world feels it. When you act from your values, not their preferences, you create a new standard, one where your time is respected, your boundaries are honored, your silence is powerful. The same people who once ignored you will now feel uncomfortable in your presence, not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped hiding it. You must let go of the need to be understood. You must break the addiction to being liked. Because the greatest version of you will not be liked by everyone. It will intimidate. It will disrupt. It will offend those who benefit from your weakness. But it will also magnetize the right people. It will draw in those who recognize strength. And more importantly, it will bring you back to yourself. No more performing. No more pretending. Just presence. Real, grounded, unshakable presence. Stop apologizing for being disciplined. Stop explaining your silence. Stop watering yourself down to fit their comfort. Approval is easy to earn, but it costs your soul. Respect is harder to get, but it builds your life. Choose which one matters more. Because the world doesn't need another agreeable echo. It needs someone who stands like stone. Calm, solid, unbothered. Not waiting to be chosen, but already knowing their value. Be that person. Be the one who doesn't need to be liked. Be the one they cannot ignore. The shift begins the moment you stop looking outward and start building inward. Everything you've been searching for, respect, confidence, presence, it doesn't start with their reaction. It starts with your decision. Who you choose to be when no one's watching determines who the world sees when you enter the room. You don't need more praise. You need more discipline. You don't need louder words. You need quieter strength. Because the strongest people aren't the ones trying to appear powerful. They're the ones who've killed the weakness within. They've faced the fear of being alone. They've embraced the silence that most people run from. And in that silence, they built something that no one can take away. You can't fake this. You can't posture your way into true respect. People feel what's real. They sense the difference between confidence and noise, between peace and performance. If you don't believe in your own worth, no technique will save you. You'll still crave approval, still chase validation, still over-explain just to be accepted. That's why this shift is not external. It's internal. It's about reprogramming the way you see yourself. You are not here to compete for attention. You are not here to beg to be heard. You are here to command respect through presence, discipline, and restraint. And that starts with the belief that you are already enough. When you walk into a room, the energy you carry says everything before your mouth does. If your mind is scattered, your presence will feel weak. If your emotions control you, your authority will disappear. But if your focus is sharp, your thoughts are clear, and your emotions are anchored, you will feel untouchable. That is the work, quiet, private, daily. Training yourself to remain grounded when others react. Training your body to stand still when others fidget. Training your mind to remain neutral when others seek chaos. This is the foundation of power, not for show, for self. You can't expect the world to respect you when you haven't yet committed to respecting yourself. That means setting boundaries and keeping them. That means choosing growth over comfort. That means doing the work even when no one's watching, even when there's no reward in sight. Because the respect you're really after isn't theirs, it's yours. You want to look in the mirror and see someone who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't beg to be seen, who doesn't betray their own values just to fit in. That's where the real power lives. That's the version of you that changes rooms without speaking. Make the decision now, no more acting. No more adjusting yourself to match someone else's expectations. The work begins within, and once it's done, you won't need to chase anything. People will feel it. They'll sense it. They'll step back, not because you asked them to, but because your presence demanded it. That is respect. That is power, and it starts with you. You don't need to be loud to be felt. You don't need to be seen to make an impact. You don't need to speak to shift the energy in a room. Because the truth is, silence has a frequency. And when it comes from someone who has done the inner work, it speaks louder than any words ever could. The person who carries silence with strength is not empty. They are full of discipline, full of purpose, full of control. And the world respects what it cannot shake. When your presence is anchored in self-respect, others feel it, even before they know your name, even before you say a single word. Every room you walk into becomes a test of how deeply you believe in yourself. A test of whether you're ruled by the noise outside or by the strength inside. If you walk in seeking validation, people sense it. If you walk in needing to prove something, they'll make you prove everything. But if you walk in rooted, focused, and still, they'll adjust themselves around you. Because people are drawn to what they cannot define. They are careful around what they cannot control. And they respect what they cannot move. It's not about pretending to be powerful. It's about no longer giving your power away. No longer chasing their attention, their recognition, their permission. Okay. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. You are here to become so solid in who you are that their opinion becomes irrelevant. And the more you align with that truth, the more the world will respond to you differently. Not because they suddenly changed, but because you did. You became the kind of person who doesn't flinch, who doesn't rush, who doesn't dilute their presence to make others feel comfortable. That kind of presence can't be taught through words. It has to be built in silence. You earn it every time you choose to stay grounded when provoked. You reinforce it every time you say no without apology. You embody it every time you show up without needing to be noticed. And that's when it begins to show. In your posture, in your tone, in the space you command simply by existing. It's the look in your eyes that says you've faced yourself and you're no longer afraid. It's the weight in your silence that makes people wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, who you really are. That mystery is not an act, it's a result. A reflection of someone who doesn't need attention to feel powerful. Walk into every room like you belong, not because someone said so, but because you decided to. Say nothing unless it adds to your value. Let others explain themselves. Let them chase comfort. Let them perform. You remain still. You remain certain. You remain untouchable. Because when presence is built on self-mastery, silence becomes your language, and respect becomes your echo. You don't rise by being seen. You rise by being remembered. And people remember the ones who move differently. The ones who don't react like everyone else. The ones who don't give away their presence cheaply. Every move you make is either a signal of power or a signal of weakness. Most people live in reaction, triggered by attention, addicted to validation, desperate to be accepted. But when you stop reacting and start choosing, everything changes. You stop playing their game, you stop following their script, you become the standard. And when you become the standard, people either rise to meet you or fall away. Respect is earned in the moments where silence is more powerful than defense, where patience cuts deeper than anger, where boundaries are drawn not with force but with clarity. You are not here to convince the world of your worth. You are here to carry it so strongly that the world has no choice but to adjust. That's what real presence does. It forces others to take a step back, not because you demanded space, but because you never gave yours away. That stillness, that control, that quiet certainty, it commands attention without asking for it. It's not about intimidation. It's about being immovable in your values and unshakable in your mind. Everything you say, everything you do, teaches people how to treat you. When you over-explain, you tell them your words mean little. When you chase, you teach them your time is cheap. When you tolerate disrespect, you tell them you don't respect yourself. But when you speak less and do more, when you value your time, your energy, and your peace, others begin to mirror that. You become someone who doesn't entertain nonsense, someone who doesn't respond to every call for attention, someone who moves with purpose, not emotion. And that's when the world begins to respect you, not for how loud you are, but for how consistent you are. Let people misunderstand you. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper behind your back. That noise cannot reach someone who walks in silence and strength. You don't have to explain your transformation. You just live it. And as you live it, the right people will notice. The wrong ones will disappear. Either way, you win. Because the path of quiet power is not about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. And when you master yourself, the outside world no longer controls your worth. Be slow to speak, quick to observe, impossible to shake. Let others seek attention. Let them exhaust themselves trying to be noticed. You will move in silence. You will think deeply, act precisely, and remain untouched by chaos. Because the one who respects themselves the most becomes the one who is respected by all. No noise, no announcement, just presence, just power, just quiet, undeniable strength that can't be copied, can't be faked, and can never be ignored. There comes a point when you no longer seek power. You become it. Not because of how much you control others, but because of how completely you control yourself. You don't need applause to validate your direction. You don't need permission to own your space. You've built something deeper than performance. You've built identity. The kind that doesn't shift to please, the kind that doesn't chase what it can attract, the kind that moves through life with quiet force and complete conviction. This is what separates the respected from the overlooked. Not talent, not charm, not noise, but depth, composure, intention. Every time you decide not to speak when silence is stronger, you train your mind to hold its ground. Every time you choose presence over attention, you sharpen your value. The world notices what is rare. The world watches what it can't predict. And when you embody both, restraint and presence, you become impossible to ignore. You no longer react to disrespect. You don't overextend. You don't need to be understood. You walk as if the outcome is already yours, and most of the time it is. Because people follow the one who needs nothing, who shows up without fear, who doesn't fold under pressure or bend to opinion. This is how the world begins to respect you, when you stop needing to be explained, when your actions are enough, when your silence carries weight. That kind of respect is not earned in conversation, it's earned in discipline, in the decision to say no when it's easier to say yes, in the control to walk away when it would be easier to prove yourself, in the strength to remain steady while others fall apart trying to get attention, because they're still trapped in performance. You've chosen presence. That shift is the birth of real power. You don't flinch when challenged. You don't beg for clarity. You don't demand recognition. You've internalized your worth so completely that the external world cannot shake it. And it shows in your eyes, in your posture, in the way you speak only when there's something worth saying. You don't rush to fill silence. You own it. You don't fear rejection. You understand it has nothing to do with your value. You are no longer trying to impress. You are trying to evolve. The world doesn't give lasting respect to those who shout the loudest. It gives it to those who are least reactive, most stable, most anchored in who they are. Let your stillness speak. Let your actions echo. Let your energy lead, not to prove anything, but to show that you have nothing left to prove. That is where freedom begins. That is where transformation becomes permanent, and that is where others begin to adjust to you. Because when you move with silent certainty, the world follows. It listens more, it watches more, and most importantly, it respects you, not because you asked for it, but because you embodied it.